Our lives are mostly affected by the way we think things are, not the way they are. The way we think they are affects us most. And Shoaff taught me that the mind is like a factory, a mental factory. And whatever you think about all day long pours ingredients into this mental factory. And that's what builds the economic, social, financial fabric of your life. As you think, so you become.
It is not the movement of the clock that produces the newness of life. It is the movement in your mind. You're going to hear all kinds of things said about you. Throw it behind you. The enemies that you see today, you will see them no more. No weapon formed against you shall be able to prosper. Every tongue that riseth against you, God will condemn. This is my time. Truth of the matter is, everybody in here is going through a change. You don't have to be ashamed of yours. We are all in the process of transforming to a higher, better expression of myself. Let this be the year that I birth a higher, better expression of myself. Don't let the habits of my past stop me from this metamorphosis. It's a lot of people who are controlled by a Pharaoh. They're prisoners in life. They're prisoners in relationships. They're prisoners in ideas. They are enslaved to a system from which they cannot be liberated, and they need a liberator that liberates us and sets us free. But freedom, my brothers and sisters, begins in the mind. Freedom begins in the mind. You can be free physically and not be free mentally. One of the great side effects that we struggle through is to embrace the internal freedom that we have externally so that we can go beyond barriers that seem to be fixed in our mind even when the door is open. I've seen people with open doors and never go through them. I've seen people stuck in ghettos and thinking about life, and what they're talking about is life in the ghetto. But they think that it's the whole world, and they say they can't get out, and there are no bars holding them, and they're not handcuffed, and they're not chained. They're not chained physically, but they're chained mentally. That's why if you can't afford to get your children out of ghetto, drive them out, take them on a visit, let them see that there's a world outside of the circumstances you're in, so that their thinking can be evolved and become big enough to embrace all that God has.
You have got to change the way you think. It is the whole determining factor of where you go in life. We are all where we are today because we thought ourselves to this position. If you don't like the position, think yourself out of it.
The real challenge is getting my mind free. Well, as I'm free in my mind, I can change my circumstances.
And a friend of mine said, you know when people change? And I said, no. He said, when they get to the point when they say, I've had it. I've had it. I can do better than this.
He was in the hog pen. He was broke. He had lost everything. He was deranged and deprived and distraught. But the Bible said he came to himself in this deplorable situation. He came to himself. He didn't get any money in the mail. He didn't meet any fine person that built up his self-esteem. This was an inside job. He came to himself, said, wait a minute, I'm better than this. And the moment he made up his mind to get up, he got up. And I want to tell you something today. The moment you make up your mind to get up, you can get up. And no devil in hell, no system, no government, no power, no boss, no community, or anything else can hold you. Once you are free in your mind, you are free.
Your brain is divided into two halves, positive and negative, good and evil. It don't function on nothing else. Ain't no neutral ground in your brain. It's either positive and good or negative and evil. Each half of your brain has millions of factory workers on each side. You got 1 million factory workers on the positive side. You got 1 million factory workers on the negative side. At the forefront of each one of those factories in your brain is a foreman. You got foreman positive and you got foreman negative. You are in charge You're the boss of the factory.
The people who blew up, they blew up because there was something that was going wrong in their life, and they took that pain and they turned that pain into something. How do you go to class when it's 10 degrees and 12 inches of snow? You know how you do it? Because you know your mama broke and she working 2 jobs and taking out a loan for you to go to school. I laugh at kids whose parents are broke and they up there partying like everybody else. Your mama broke. Some of us, we taking out loans and sitting at home so people can pay rent. That money ain't even going to college, and we still going to parties. I'm saying, what kind of brotherhood is that? When you got my man up at 2 o'clock in the morning, washing your car and going to get you groceries when you should be helping this kid to study. I want my son to have a better life than I had. I don't want my son begging like I had to beg. I don't want my son to ever think he got to sell dope or he got to steal from the mall. Somebody say, E, what's your alarm clock? My passion. My dreams wake me up. I don't need no alarm clock. I'm going to bed pissed that I gotta go to bed. Some of you going to sleep and you don't deserve rest. Lazy, you don't deserve rest. Rest is for people who work. You ain't doing nothing. Every day you chilling. You need to know your why, and my why wakes me up every single morning. Why do you do what you do? Why do you do what you do? And that's so important. My why. I'm about to wrap this thing up. Listen to me. You can't make a difference until you make a decision